All right, guys. Well, welcome. I'm Dave Cutler. I'm the principal of BMS. For all of you that don't know me, and for all of you that I woke up at 7:20 this morning with a all call about the water main, I apologize, but at least you're in the know. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to give a presentation. We have quite a few slides, but I promised Mr. Nurbon that we would go through and really kind of leave it as led by you guys and how you feel we need to do for answers. So thanks to all of you for submitting your questions. I feel like a YouTuber. Thanks to all of you for submitting your questions. And Mr. Nurbon, who's on here somewhere, went through today and we got all the answers to make sure that we could answer all of the questions that you asked that were not answered by Superintendent Morano on the district's meeting. So if everybody's okay with that, I'm going to share my screen and start the presentation. If you can, on the chat section, because I won't be able to see you, if you have any questions that you can't hold until the end of the presentation, when we have, how many, Rich? 100 questions answered. If you have a question that you must have answered right away, if you could add it to the chat, and Mr. Nurbon will be following the chat and answering. I see Mrs. Rafferty on, who's the assistant superintendent, so I'm sure she can answer. We're very fortunate to have Lisa Surratt on, who, as all of you know, really runs the school, and Lisa McKim and Jen Weslowski, and our new addition, Michelle Nolan, who are all three are in the counseling department, so they can all help answer any questions that may not be able to be answered. So I'm going to start the presentation. So if you give me 1 second. All right. So again, my name is Dave Cutler, and I'm the principal. And Mr. Nurbon, Rich Nurbon, is on. He is the new interim assistant principal, which talk about a way to cut your teeth. He's been amazing and very helpful. So what's new at Bellingham Memorial School? Well, quite a bit. Thanks to the PTO, which I know a few of them are on. I saw Shaheen. I'm sure Gail and Lewis are on, and I saw a whole bunch of people. Mrs. Grant, I saw you on. So if you guys want to check, thanks to you and your efforts of fundraising and not having to pay for other things because of COVID, we redid a lot of the school this year to kind of bring it up to snuff, thanks to your generosity and your support. So the office, for those of you that haven't seen it in a long time, has been completely redone. Again, all thanks to our amazing maintenance department at school. Mr. Oakley, who I think I saw on, and his crew did all of the labor and all the work, in addition to a whole bunch of people offering their time and support. Mrs. Batellaconti helping paint, Mrs. Surratt getting in there and making it all happen. So we have a beautiful office suite now. And if you notice here, what we're doing, just like the high school, is the future plan is to have a trap area to keep the school even safer. So just for all the incoming fourth grade families that are wondering about how are we going to keep your wonderful children safe, and for the fifth, sixth, and seventh grade families that have already been with us, this is now where you'll work through the office window to, dismiss students, drop off lunches, all of that kind of business, especially in times of COVID. So this is the window. Right here, this contraption here is the visitor management system. So your ID goes in here, prints off a visitor's badge. It goes to a computer that's situated over here on this side of the brick. And Mrs. Fortier and Mrs. Surratt are there making sure that everything's good, along with Officer Houston. Again, thanks to the BMS PTO, just some highlights of not having everything be about COVID and then the downtrodden ways of no sports and all sorts of things. We redid the auditorium. It's all been repainted, and when we can bring people back in, we intend to bring drama back. And now we have an additional source of revenue by having Mrs. Surratt and Mrs. Fortier call a black box theater, which I guess is highly sought after in this size to be able to rent out to local performing arts companies. Now the fun stuff. COVID-19 safety measures. I know that our wonderful lead nurse and Bellingham Memorial School's very own, Mrs. Loftus, is on. COVID-19 safety measures. You've added hand washing stations, which you'll see here on the right-hand side. Mr. Oakley made sure that going around BMS in particular, where there used to be a large amount of water bubblers, water fountains to the layman, he's had a plumber come in and remove all of the old water fountains and install hand wash stations there. So that way we have an abundant amount of sinks and places to do hand washing and sanitation. The desks are 6 feet apart. Now, what you're seeing in this upper left picture and this upper right picture are the desks at 3 feet apart. Now, the reason for that, the reason for that to start with is because these are the rooms at full capacity. Okay, so the biggest grade level is currently the 7th grade with 186 students in it. And we are able to have 27 desks in for the entire grade in per class. So what you're seeing with these blue stickies is us identifying how we would have the students at 6 feet apart. So as you can see in a full classroom, at the full capacity of 27 in this case, there's a large amount of desks. But when you're doing the separation of 6 feet apart in every direction, you really minimize the amount. So we're at 13 students per class. So that's how we separated the cohorts of cohort A and cohort B. So on the floor, on the lower left picture, you'll see some markings to keep students and staff 6 feet apart when they're going down the hall. Staggered arrival and dismissal times will help us to make sure that we're not having a mass amount of people and we're able to maintain social distancing. And unfortunately, and this was a real bummer for us, was, one of the exciting things about being a new 4th grader is you get to come and you get a locker. This year, until further notice at least, we're not going to be utilizing lockers at all in the school because it's just not able to be sanitized appropriately for us. And also it's a place, it's one more thing to have to worry about. So as of right now, there is no lockers. Beginning and ending of the day. The morning is 7:45 to 7:55 is student drop-off, and 7:55 to 8:05 is bus arrival. Student drop-off will look a little different this year, but will still be in the same location. We're hoping to make it a little bit more efficient and safer. Bus arrival is still in the bus loop and should go as smooth as it always has. Afternoon, 2:10 to 2:20 is student pickup, and 2:20 to 2:30 is bus loading. In case I forgot to mention, this whole presentation is being recorded and will be available for anybody to watch again or to pull any information off they need, and also for those that couldn't log on tonight. Additionally, anybody that has any questions or needs specific things, I'm happy to share the presentation with you directly. Bellingham Memorial School schedule for 2020-2021. As you see, broken up by grade level. Healthy Hawks is the period that is actually the period of time that is actually designated for hand washing and getting students ready to be in school. So they'll come in and they'll go through their rituals. Thanks to Mrs. Loftus, we have signs posted everywhere and some nice visual cues on how to properly do everything. And that's where the students will come through at a staggered time and wash all their hands and prepare their stuff. Then, 4th and 5th grade, you see that 4th grade is obviously self-contained, so they are with their one teacher when they're not with their specialists, as in art, music, PE.
Just the one last week was for the whole district, all the schools.
I'm sorry if you're able. I can't see you, but if you're able to mute yourself, that would be greatly appreciated. The 5th grade is still teams of 2. So you'll have one teacher that will teach the humanities, and the other teacher that will teach, the counterpart teacher will teach the STEM stuff, math, science and math. Then 6th grade is the way it was last year, which you'll have a teacher for each content area, as in, Mrs. Rashi will teach social studies, Mrs. Gould will teach ELA, Mr. Ale will teach science, so on and so forth. So that's set up there. And then 7th grade is the same way. Each teacher, each teacher teaches their specific content area. And we'll share the schedule out in greater detail. We're planning on the 5th of September. The high school and the middle school are going to launch. School Brains we're told School Brains will be updated, so all families will have the updated information of exactly who their students have as the teacher, for those of you that don't know now. Hybrid model. Cohort A is Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday being a full remote day, and cohort B is Thursday and Friday. The cohorts were, I thought we put it on here, but the cohorts were separated. Mrs. Surratt, just off I feel like we've changed it so many times. A through L or A through M? I can't see you, so I don't know if we're
A through L.
A through L, okay. A through L, and
I'm sorry, A through K and
okay.
L through Z.
Okay, A through K and L through Z. You know what? It was on the superintendent slide, and for some reason it didn't transfer over. So A through K will go in cohort A Monday and Tuesday, and L through Z will go on cohort B Thursday through Friday, unless you've heard from us directly. I apologize ahead of time that we sent out a flurry of Blackboard Connect messages out, starting unfortunately at 7:20 this morning and moving all the way till probably 5 minutes ago. So if you received a message with some specific details, that should be your indicator of where your individual student is going. Music. We have an amazing music department. We have an amazing fine arts department as a whole. These slides are from them. Their goals are as follows: to keep students engaged in making music, even with COVID, support students developing as young musicians, develop and offer rigorous curriculum in new settings, provide musical experiences that are flexible and adaptable for hybrid and remote settings, and prepare and share musical performances with others creatively. So if ever there was a group of amazing educators that could bring remote learning / band / music to life, it's Bellingham Public Schools. So I have full faith in them that they're going to get this better than ever. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education guidelines state that they cannot play wind instruments or sing indoors at the start of the school year. Playing instruments and singing is allowed outside with 10-foot spacing. Percussion instruments, drums, xylophones, bells, and mallets must be sanitized in between uses. So as you saw on the schedule, our periods are now 1 hour each, and you can imagine how much of a time chunk that all of this cleaning would take up. So everybody's really trying to make sure they have the most time on learning with the safest practices and procedures in place. So that way they can make sure that safety is paramount, but they're also getting the rigor and educational experience that all students deserve. All students in grades 4 through 7 will receive general music through the hybrid model. Grades 6th and 7th band and chorus are being incorporated into the schedule as a remote elective. More information will be provided as it's available. I know they were working on that today. 5th grade band and chorus are being delayed due to the Mass DESE regulations and guidelines, and more information for that will also be available. If you have any specific questions, I know that Mrs. Fort or Miss Fort and Mr. McDonald and Miss Signa and Miss Brahman are always happy and willing to answer any questions, and they're amazing. General music for grades 4 through 7. Components that will be part of all music classes. Percussion ensemble. These things, I don't need to go over them all, but we'll be able to share these slides again. And again, if you have any questions after the fact, please put them in the chat, and Mr. Nurban can answer, or we can direct you to Miss Signa for chorus or Mr. McDonald for band. How does the day look for students in a hybrid model? Synchronous and asynchronous learning done through the school day. So many people have the question, what does that mean? What is synchronous versus asynchronous? Well, students will go to their scheduled classes. So this is really important, I think, when one of the things that Superintendent Morano had discussed was how, the importance of each individual building's plan. And this is really where the nitty gritty are going to happen. Students will go to their scheduled classes either remotely or in person and participate in the lesson. Lesson will be done as a whole class with an opportunity to do asynchronous work. So what does that mean and how does that look? What it really means is what we're doing right now is what, if you could picture what we're doing right now, this is synchronous time. We're live, we're having we're chatting, and you have the ability to ask me questions, and I can normally see you. And what all students are expected to do, and I cannot stress this enough, is unlike the spring, they're going to, the expectation is the handbook and Bellingham Public Schools, in particular for us, Bellingham Memorial School, high expectations of conduct for students and teachers alike is all in effect. So what that means for us is that, the expectation is that the teachers will, if they have a class at 8:01, the teacher will be ready and online and ready to teach both the students in front of them and the students that are remotely in front of them, like we are right now. Conversely, that means that the students themselves are ready in front of them and ready remotely in front of them. So, I know that there was many times that we would log in and, and for no reason other than it was all new to us. We'd log in the spring and there'd be a lot of people lounging in their bed or, eating their cereal or doing things. What all students need to realize, especially in the middle school level, is that this needs to be dealt with and viewed as serious as it would if you were sitting in front of your teacher in your traditional pre-COVID class. So the expectation from me and the teachers and from everybody would be that the students are logged in, they're ready to learn. Recommendation is that the students have a one or multiple places around the house where they can work as uninterrupted as possible. And I say that tongue in cheek, that I know that's not always possible. That they're dressed and ready to go and be prepared for school, just as if they were signing in, just as if they were walking into Mrs. Rashi's physical classroom. So what does that look like? I do, we do, you do. This is what we call the gradual release of responsibility. Teachers will teach roughly about 50% of their lesson will be synchronous, which means that they will be doing what we're doing. It'll be live. So an example of that is that they may say, they may be teaching some math skills, and they say, okay, it's 12:30 right now. We're going to log off for the next 15 minutes, and at 12:45, I want you guys from 12:30 to 12:45 to go do these 15 math problems, and then we're going to log back in at 12:30, and we're all going to go over them. That's the students in front of the teacher and the students that are remote. So this is live. This is real time. One of the things that we had talked about is that even if a student is in the middle of a synchronous lesson and needs to use the restroom, it's as simple as raising their hand and saying, Mr. Cutler, may I use the restroom for a second? Yes, you have permission, Mr. Nurbon. You may shut your screen off for a moment and do what you need to do and then log back in. So we want to start to prepare them to get them ready to come back to school, because that's the ultimate goal. Frequently asked questions. Can my child go from remote to hybrid? No, unfortunately at this time, if a student is on a fully remote model, they will be required to stay there until further notice. Will my child receive the same education remotely? Yes, just as we just described, different than the springtime. This is really a high stakes, no joke atmosphere. The high expectations that you would want of your teachers and that we expect of our students are all in play. So yes, whether full remote or hybrid model, both will offer a host of synchronous and asynchronous learning opportunities, regardless of the model that you've picked. Although the students and staff may not be physically together, the faculty is dedicated to ensuring a robust learning experience to meet the needs of all of our learners. Frequently asked questions continued, and these could go on and on, so I won't hold you with all of them, but will the kids have mask breaks throughout the day? Absolutely they will, and we will try to have them as much outside as possible until the weather dictates differently. Will recess time have areas for each class, so no cross-contamination between cohorts. Unfortunately, the lawyer in me says that we're actually going to call recess this year a movement break, and the reason we're going to do that is because it will be done not only at the teacher's discretion, but we're going to, given the COVID regulations and the CDC regulations, we can't be using any sort of, which is bad because I really enjoyed kickball with my kiddos, but there's no equipment allowed to be used or any of those things during recess. So unfortunately, it's a lot of students just being outside and keeping 6-foot distance, getting some fresh air, taking some mask breaks, conversing at a safe distance with each other, but that's really all. So recess as we know it until further notice is kind of on a hiatus. We'll continue to maintain 6-foot distance and prevent cross-contamination. Bathroom rules, 2 students will be allowed in the bathroom at any time. When there's 2 students in the bathroom, the other student should wait outside at a socially distant space where there's markings on the ground. Will kids be able to eat and sit next to each other or always separated by 6 feet? Answer, due to social distancing regulation from the CDC, we will work hard to have kids maintain a safe distance at all time. Our cafeteria currently holds 58 students at 6 feet apart, and the remaining students in that lunch are based on the rooms they're in are in the or in the gymnasium at 6 feet apart. This is really important, especially with what we're going through. How will schools incorporate socialization and teach children social skills, not COVID social skills? Eventually, we want to be back to where we were, if not better. Teachers are really going to promote the use of social skills throughout the curriculum. Ideas like using manners and positive conversation skills will still be taught during COVID learning, which is why one of my main reasons of having this mindset, this positive mindset that, being in front of this computer is no different. This meeting to me is just as important to show you as it would be if we were standing in the BMS auditorium. So we need to have that mindset with everybody that whether it's remote or it's in person, it's just as important. And you wouldn't put your head down in the middle of a history class, or at least you shouldn't, a social studies class. You wouldn't do it on the computer screen. You wouldn't be watching TV or doing all these things that you knew would get you spoken to. Those should be the same rules. And that way we can start to help our students titrate back into what we hope is post-COVID. This is regarding IEPs. How will IEPs be fulfilled? IEPs are something that we will continue to strive for excellence in when building an equitable school environment, and we will continue to work our hardest to make sure the IEPs are fulfilled. Can we speak to room layout dividers? You saw the pictures of how the general rooms look. Rooms are organized in rows. We have the desks at 3 feet apart, but the students will be sitting at the desks that equate to 6 feet apart. No dividers, no plexi, and none of that stuff. This was an important question that was raised in the Q&A. Can you speak to the communication plan if a possible case is identified? If a case presents themselves in the building, the superintendent will inform the families as soon as information becomes available. I can guarantee you, knowing that Superintendent Morano and Mrs. Loftus, you will have immediate answers. As soon as they come, they will be on the horn. So if cases increase, does a parent have the option to go fully remote mid-year? The answer is yes. I personally, Mr. Nurbon, all of the staff, we fully support all of your decisions as parents, okay? Your kids are the most important part of your lives. So if you choose at any time, regardless of whether cases increase or not, and you choose for one reason or another that you need your child to go from being hybrid to remote, please just reach out to me and we will make it happen. Let's see, will there be change in dismissal for buses and cleaning? We have a staggered dismissal. Part of that staggered is to ensure that not only is everybody socially distanced, but there's adequate time to clean.
Hi.
Hi. When are we looking to be in school full time? I wish tomorrow. We are in the data collection phase, just like everybody else. So we'll see how this works and the data that supports a safe return, and we'll continue to watch the metrics and examine later. will students have socialization, or will it feel less connected and more anxious if all the restrictions are making it difficult to learn? The pandemic, as everybody is very, very aware, has created this unfortunate feeling of uncertainty. And I think that, in sitting around today trying to figure out how we were going to allay some fears, we realized that these are things that none of us, no matter what you come from, your educational level, your background, there is no place that any of us have ever learned about this and how to manage this. So we're all figuring it out together. And, all I can say is ask the questions. Let us help you, and you help us, and we'll figure it out together. And it's not always going to be easy, and it's not always going to be right. But if we can just work collaboratively, we'll make sure that we can do the absolute best we can in the time that we don't really have a playbook. Let's see. Children with anxiety, learning disabilities, and trouble transitioning, including the principal. Children at BMS will have access to the guidance department, which are the 3 ladies that I had formally introduced, to help ease anxiety, as educators who can relate to their fears and unknowns of returning to school. And we will continue to work together to make sure everyone is feeling as comfortable as possible. Frequently asked questions from the survey. So we can do one of a few things. What I think to do, instead of go over these next 47 slides, is I think I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to look and see between Mr. Nurbon and myself. You guys are going to get these slides, and you'll have an access to the presentation. But if there's any pressing questions you want answered right now, I'd rather give you some face time than continue to read like Ben Stein. So let me stop sharing. And okay. All right, there's 38 questions. So, Richie, have you been answering questions, my friend? Okay, and Lisa. Yeah. So I guess the real answer here is ask us whatever you need to. We're here to support you guys. I'm not positive we're going to have all the answers, but what answers we don't have, we'll find. And if there's something that we can make adjustments of, we're always willing to try to figure that out. So we're in this, I know people keep saying it, but we're in this together, and we're in this as a team. And it's not, the answer is there's not always an answer. So let's see. Is there any specific type of mask that needs to be worn? Okay, that's a great question, and one of these is answered on the response. On the frequently asked questions. But gaiters are unfortunately not allowed. So if you are anybody like me and you went out and bought your children $150 worth of gaiters, enjoy them in winter outside. But gaiters are not allowed to be used in school as a device for a mask. Either is this, or any other variation of that. So your surgical mask, your fancy mask, your whatever you want that is some semblance of a real mask that does not involve a Halloween mask, please. Those are all authorized, okay? What is a gaiter? Well, if I tell you, you might buy one, so I'm not going to tell you. But it's it's this like turtleneck that just goes on and on and on and on. So they're pretty cool. Unfortunately, the CDC has said that they are just not thick enough or suitable enough for keeping everybody safe. Let's see. What will Wednesdays look like when everybody is remote? Okay, so the first half of the day will be some semblance of synchronous learning, and they're really going to prepare the students to have the remainder of their day as asynchronous work. So they will go over and teach some whether it be a specialist, and Mrs. Oriani is showing somebody how to do amazing artwork and says, okay, now I want you to go off, and I showed you how to do 3-dimensional drawing, and I want you to build me a city. And then that's their task for Wednesday. Did I do that right, Mrs. Oriani? Thank you. Okay, see, I'm getting there. Those are the kind of things that we want to set them up so that way, or if they, go prepare for this quiz, or go prepare for the reading the next chapter, there'll be asynchronous work for the second half of the day while all of the teachers are listening to me yammer on like you are, and also they'll be able to do common planning to make sure that they can help and continue your students' education. Let's see.
There's a question, Dave, on here that's asking to discuss more about the full remote option. So do you want to take that, or do you want me to?
Okay, so full remote option. Jen and Lisa, I saw your faces. Okay, so full remote students are separated into cohort A and B as well, right? I see head shaking, but I don't hear
So
you.
for the fourth graders, they don't need to be in cohorts. For the fourth grade, there's just going to be our remote teacher, and she will have like all of those students. For sixth grade, the fully remote students are going to be in a cohort, yes.
Okay. So just so everybody knows, the fourth grade full remote teacher is Mrs. Goslaw. So many of you, and you'll see this when you read the litany of questions, but Mrs. Goslaw has had all of the fourth grade students that will be remote, all have been made into one class for her. The remaining students that were not in remote have all been put into all of the other teachers' classes to meet the cohort sizes and make sure that everything is safe and academically responsible and physically responsible. So Mrs. Goslaw is the fourth grade teacher for full remote. Mrs. Schrager is the fifth grade teacher for full remote. So she will not have, so anybody that's doing full remote, she will be your teacher for all 4 subjects, and they will be split into cohorts A and B, correct, Mrs. McKim?
Sorry, I think there was actually some confusion. So grades 4 through 7 for remote only are not in cohorts. So they're expected to log on all 5 days.
Okay, all 5 days. Okay. All right. So and Mrs. Schrager will be teaching the grade 5.
Yep, and grade 6 and 7 will sign on to whatever their schedule says.
Correct. And if their teacher happens to be a remote teacher, they will be remote while their teacher is remote. And then there will be teacher coverage through ILAs and maybe even me inside the classroom, as long as it's not math, to help support the learning going on in the classroom. Let's see. So yes, Melinda, the students that are going in person. God, the thing's moving so fast. Hold on. Students that are going in person are moving from class to class. Teachers are not moving. So the only difference is that we've worked where each specialist who would have normally had a huge amount of students will only see the same set amount of students every day for 4 weeks, and then it'll rotate. So that way we can do, help me, Maureen, contact tracing. Thank you. We can do contact tracing, and we can also make sure that nobody is seeing too many students and getting the ability to, get inundated. We talked about it today. All of the teachers are being given that ozonated water in their classrooms, and between classes, they will spray that water just as the custodians do. And then the custodians will also be going around like the Brooklyn Bridge with the fogger and making sure everything is clean with the ozonated water. And should look like a theme park. So I hope that answers your question. Let's see. As long as they want earbuds allowed, as long as they. Yes. Okay. What else? I believe students. Lisa. Let's see. Let's see. Whoever said we're doing beautifully, thank you, because it's been it feels like 2 years. Okay, this is a great question. There's a lot of confusion about the laptops. Okay, so let me solve that before you read into all of the answers, which it's clearly stated in there because we wanted to get that information. And Lisa, you were on with Mike Garofano earlier. I read his thing about 5 times. So right now, thanks to superintendent and the IT department, we have enough computers for everyone. However, comma, ding, 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 they aren't here yet, okay? So because they were purchased, but some of them have actually not even been manufactured yet because of COVID, okay? So yes, in theory, everybody has a computer, even though right now, some of them are invisible. So what we're doing is, or not we, what the IT department has done is they've gone through and they've put 15 Chromebooks in each classroom. Those 15 Chromebooks will be utilized by that class and then cleaned at the end of the hour period, and then the next 15, and rotated as the students rotate through the class. So the only caveat to that is if you are a family that has borrowed a Chromebook, the expectation is that you will bring that Chromebook back and forth between school, okay? And that way you're not using 2 Chromebooks, one at home of ours and one at school. Excuse me. So that's the caveat. Now, there is a lot of questions about this $25 management license that wasn't a factor in the spring. Mrs. Surratt, can you answer about that?
Mr. Garofano told me this afternoon that he will be having a FAQ document out by the end of the week that will be explaining everything about the licensing fee. It is only for Chromebooks. It is not for any other device that the children will be using, whether they're home, whether they're using a Dell computer or a Mac computer. They don't need a license for that, only if they have a Chromebook. He also said that it will not inhibit their learning in any way by buying this licensing fee. It's just a manufactured distribution for management of Chromebooks only. So by the end of the week, he'll be sending out something to everyone explaining it and how to go about getting it and all the information they need.
And one of our last slides in the long slide presentation is exactly from him. So we'll be able to answer some of those questions about what you're asking. If you already have a Chromebook, that Chromebook can be brought into school. And that's okay. And many families have opted, which is one of the reasons, and I want to apologize right off the bat, one of the reasons that I had delayed and dragged my feet on sending out the supply list was because all of those 5 1-inch binders would do you no good and cost you quite a bit of money if I then said to you, oh, but it would be better if you spent $100 towards your Chromebook. So I didn't want to have you buy things that you might not utilize and then have you feel like, oh, I wish I could have used those funds for something else. So that was the rationale for the supply list coming out so late. So that's anybody that has a Chromebook, yes, you can bring it in, and then we'll work with Mr. Garofano and the IT department to make sure it's all set. And limits their outside of school use. Okay, so I see that it makes their one of the questions is about that license and it limits the school use. So yes, and this goes for anybody. This goes for anybody. I can't tell you how many uncomfortable conversations that some of us have had about things that have been looked up on the Chromebooks. And it's not because of any other reason than if you're going to use a non-school issued device to buy things on Etsy, let's just use that as an example, make sure you log out of your child's Google account. That's the only thing that will keep us looking. So oftentimes in that upper right corner where it shows your kid's little smiling face, make sure you log out and you're using your own private accounts, or else when it's logged into the dcutler@bpsdk12.org, that belongs to the school department and that's the one that they monitor. So all of those phone calls of, I'm glad that you got all your Christmas shopping done, but your kid's account is locked out and I'm sorry and this is very uncomfortable. That's only because we forgot to log out of our kid's account. So just some words of advice and wisdom. Plus I've had it happen to me. Let's see. Laptop at home. Does this mean that they will need to bring it into? Okay, so if we said that we have a laptop at home, this is my friend Aaron. If we have a laptop at home, does this mean that they will need to bring it into school, or is there a Chromebook? So no, if you have something at home, I'm sorry if I made that confusing. If you have something at home, you don't have to bring it to school. Okay. If you have something at home and you want your kids to bring it to school because you want them to have continuity of the device that they're using, then please make sure once we determine that it's the right device, you absolutely can. Second to that is if you borrow our device, then yes, that has to come in. So if you want to keep your Dell laptop at home or whatever it is, then yes, keep it at home as if it was tethered to the table. Does that answer your question, Aaron? Okay.
Heard it wasn't me, Aaron, that asked that question.
Oh, well, I have another friend, Aaron. Okay. Okay, so let's see. So to clarify, if we want to use our own laptop, not Chromebook, we can do that without purchasing the license. You can do that at home, but then we can't, right, Mrs. Rafferty? Am I understanding?
I can help to clarify that. So if a student is bringing their own personal device into the building, it does have to have the licensing on it, and that is for monitoring purposes like the use of GoGuardian. So if you are using your device at home, you're not required to have any licensing, but if you're having your child bring any kind of their own laptop or Chromebook, one that you have purchased and it belongs to you, in order to bring it into the school, it does have to have the software downloaded on it. And so when you purchase that license through IT, they'll reach out to you to make arrangements to have the software installed on the device, your own personal device. If it's a school issued device, it already has the software on it. And so basically, like Mr. Cutler said, it is for monitoring students while they're online in the building.
Let's see. Mr. Garrity.
Mr. Cutler, I'm totally breaking protocol here.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm going to do it anyways. Can we get some clarity about how the kids are going to travel with all of their crap from room to room to room to room when, like, it's going to be fine, I think, for the first 2 months, but pretty soon we're going to have jackets and hats and gloves and all other kinds of stuff.
Yes. So, no. So the most of the work, a majority of the work, which is why we wanted to minimize the amount of school supplies. Majority of the work is going to be blended.
Wait, but okay, I'm interrupting. I'm sorry. I'm really bad at this. This is going to be how all of the kids are. But we're not. The list that you gave us for school supplies is quite robust.
Okay.
So there's like, for 7th grade, there's 4 different binders. There's all kinds of paper. There's 2 sets of colored pencils. There's pens. There's staplers. There's all kinds of stuff.
Like locker-worthy stuff.
All kinds of crap. Plus jackets, plus lunch boxes, plus maybe a Chromebook.
Right.
Or not. It depends.
Yeah. That's a really good question. And I'll be honest with you, I don't have the answer to that at this moment. I anticipate a lot of the work will be done right, wrong, or indifferent on digital modes, right? So they're going to be using those Chromebooks for a lot of their work. And there's pros and cons to that. And I think Mrs. Rafferty could probably speak about this for 5 days. No offense, Mrs. Rafferty, but like the blended learning, right? We could definitely, there's pros and cons to it. I don't know why. I will research that and get back to you, because there's just no way that anybody's going to be able to carry a lot of stuff, and there's no storage because whatever we have in the building has to be constantly sanitized. So whether they need one binder right now and their Chromebook, I can't speak to because I don't know the lesson plan of the teacher at this moment. But and they may well say, you know what, we're going to keep these until next year, save them, and we're going to do as much, with the anticipation that we're going to hopefully go back at some point. So
I'm getting a lot of text messages, so I think I hit a chord, so I'm just going to continue. And if you all hate me, I'm sorry.
I'm not hating.
I know that I have a kid who's dying to go school supply shopping because she got the email that we all got and has the post in Google Classroom. I've held off, and I even held off today saying, we're going to know more tonight. But we don't know more tonight. So now I'm confused. Am I school supply shopping or am I holding off?
My recommendation, and Mrs. Rafferty, stop me if you disagree, is that we're going to do most things on the computer right now. And the school supply shopping should be at a minimal. And some of the other grade levels, other than, specials like art, obviously we can't cross contaminate things with art. Okay. So if there's art supplies, like those color pencils and those glue sticks and markers, I would say that they're a safe bet to go out and buy, because you're going to want your kid using their own stuff at the best of their ability. When it comes to the binders and stuff, I don't foresee us using them the way that we normally would have, but for COVID. Does that give you a not answer?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I'm not going to argue with you about it. Well, I'm hearing here, like, I can just tell you in the 7th grade cohort with the folks that I'm talking about, these school supplies has been a lot of questions about what's going on.
We'll definitely, that'll be something that Mr. Nurban and I will follow up. And we can reach out to the 7th grade team and the 7th grade. Rich, until I stole him, was on that team. So, Rich, you may have a further insight into that, or at this time, do you want to just plead the fifth and we'll go from there?
I mean, I wasn't there long enough to determine the supplies and whatnot. I think we would definitely have a conversation with the 7th grade team to see where they're at on it,
and the other thing is too, a lot of students will have backpacks, and what stuff that they do carry without looking like they're going on a Appalachian camping trip, they can put in those backpacks. So, all right. So, but we'll definitely, Aaron, we will definitely get that answer, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people that want to know, and we'll get that answer for you in the next 24 hours.
Can we go back a sec to the coats and whatnot? I'm assuming we can't keep those in homeroom. They have to travel with the kids.
Mrs. Loftus.
I don't know. Will they be heading back to homeroom before dismissal? Yeah, so I think they will have to travel with the kiddos.
All right. So, yeah, I'm hoping, and I know that I'm too much of an optimist, that COVID
You're gonna jinx us, so
I'll just go with yes. Okay, let's see. Any other questions before we move on to that one? And we'll definitely get back to your questions about 7th grade. And we will have to figure out something about the coats and the gloves and the hats, especially, the 4th and 5th graders, which 4th grade is self-contained. So that's not as much of an issue, if at all, because they'll utilize them to go in and out for recess and such. But we'll definitely get those answers. And this is why we're having tonight, right? Like, by no means do I think that you were being difficult or anything. Like, we need to have these questions because we can't think of it all. So I appreciate that. Let's see. So are we using binders? I will find out. Is there a day to start school when medication? This is Loftus. Is there a day prior to school starting that medications can be dropped off to your office?
I responded to that, and I will be in school from 8 to 3 every day from now until school starts. I would appreciate a phone call that they are coming, so I will be available to pick them up. What I would say is come to the door, let the secretaries know that you're here for me, and I will come out and get them.
Okay, excellent.
Dave, can I just say something?
Yep.
Okay. I'm seeing questions about some people may be confused about synchronous and asynchronous. Don't worry, Mr. Cutler and I were also that way. We're looking at our phones, just kidding. No, for a lesson, like if you go inside of a classroom, right, and for the kids' schedules, during that period, at least half the class will be synchronous, which means that the teacher will be teaching to the kids, and whether you're remote or you're hybrid. And then the hope with that is the lesson that the teacher does will translate to asynchronous work, where the student does work on their own with teacher check-ins as they do the work. Does that make sense? Because I saw a lot of people had questions about the remote and the whole idea of synchronous.
Because my pediatrician decided to delay his immunizations because of this compromised immune system. We were at the doctor's office waiting to get his MMR when he was exposed.
You are blaming my time for but you were the one who chose to delay his MMR.
My pediatrician.
You're going to have to ask people to.
If you're not speaking, would you mind please putting yourself on mute? Okay. I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
I was just saying a lot of people are confused with synchronous and asynchronous learning. And I was just trying to clarify by saying that in a classroom, you will have both of them. So like the first half will be the lesson that the teacher conducts, and that's your synchronous learning. And the goal with that lesson will be that students will be able to complete asynchronous work on their own with teacher check-ins. So synchronous and asynchronous learning will take place in each of the classrooms.
Okay, excellent. And that'll all, again, all of these questions, the majority of them will be, actually probably all of them will be answered in the long slides after this, which I'll make sure to share with everybody. Mrs. Renda, so full remote students that are not entering the classroom, not entering school, whether Chromebooks or not, do not need to have that software. You are correct. Seventh grade, would it be better for kids to stay in one class? So we did discuss about moving the students, the teachers to the students instead of the students to the teachers. However, it just isn't feasible with all of the supplies, having Mrs. Oriani teach an art class in the middle of Mrs. Ambler's English class, or having, the only place it might work, which it still would be not so great, would be in the 4th grade. So that was why we decided as a district not to do, same with the high school, not to bring the teachers to the students, but the students to the teachers with extensive cleaning. Let's see. Students need the supplies. Okay, now that we know who the remote students are as of right now, and we know who the remote teachers are, Mrs. Surratt, if you can make sure that we follow up and we have all of the remote teachers send out what their expectations of school supplies are, given that the students will not be entering the building at all. Oh, and I just got a nice message from Mr. Favake, who's the team leader in 7th grade, and he said that they will definitely be updating what the kids need for school supplies. So if you bought it already, you'll definitely use it. You just may not use it all at once, okay? And if you didn't buy it already, wait, and he'll tell you, his team will tell you what else to get, or what to get. Okay, I'm still confused on how much of the remote is synchronous during the hybrid. If you're remote, and I guess MEH-ROAX, I guess I'd have to find out what grade level you're in, but if you're remote, then you're always logged in. When the kids are logged in, the remote kids are always logged in to when everybody else is logged in. So a lot of it, if not most of it. Remote students need the supplies, students to sanitize before entering the bus. Mrs. Loftus, what is the plan for students, other than the multiple hand washings, what is this plan for students sanitizing before entering the school bus?
Before they leave school, they will have to wash their hands with soap and water. Coming from home, I would assume that they have already washed their hands. I do believe that there will be hand sanitizer on the bus.
Okay, excellent.
Mr. Cutler, there were a couple questions about assuring that mask breaks happen. We are required to do those 3 times a day. And then there were a couple questions about the logistics of how lunchtime is going to work. If you could address that, please.
About the logistics of lunch?
Yes.
So as I previously mentioned, there's 58 students that are able to are able to eat in the cafeteria, and then the other students in those classes that are assigned to the gymnasium will be in there. They'll all maintain 6-foot distance. So that equates at those particular tables to 2 people per table at opposite ends of the table. Not very enjoyable, but lunch nonetheless. So that would be the setup in both the cafeteria and the gymnasium. Let's see. If a child gets sick and is supposed to be in school that day, they do remote. The day also is your child is sick and there's remote day, do you still have to call? If your student is not, I'm not sure I totally understand the question, but if your child is sick and they're not going to be logging in and they'd be marked absent by their teacher, then they need to be called in. If they're going to participate, then they are present. Let's see. Will Wednesday start time be comparable to the other 4 days? Yes, the schedule will still be the schedule, just as if we had a half day of school, you'd be in school at the normal starting time. Let's see. Yes, mass breaks are guaranteed. Child's sick, you need to call them out. Sick, remote, or in person. Okay, Kelly Brooks. Okay, as soon as I'm reading them, they're going away. Any chance of an open house opportunity for the incoming 4th grade? Yes, so yes and no. So many 4th graders and their families have set up a VIP tour with myself or Mr. Nurbon, and we've showed them around individually. That offer stands and will not go away. So if you are interested in bringing your student and taking a tour, even for your own information, and having us show you about the school and having us show you where everything is, please send us an email, and we're happy to show you around, and it becomes a very personalized tour of us and you. So please, and even if we have to do 30 a day, we've been logging our steps, so we're happy to do it. So just let us know if you want to see it. And that doesn't apply just for 4th graders, but everybody. If somebody wants to see how the school's looking or whatever, just send us an email, and we'll schedule a tour with you. Let's see. Honors classes for the 7th grade. So unfortunately, the way the cohorts are set up, we were unable to manage, unlike the high school, we were unable to manage honors cohorts versus standard cohorts. So the teachers are all aware that there is a mixture of all students at all learning abilities in their classes, and they will differentiate and make sure that everybody is getting what they need to have. Different from the high school is that the honors courses at BMS are not credit bearing and don't go on a transcript. So although not ideal, it's the hand we were dealt this year. Let's see. Walkers enter the building and what time? Walkers enter the building the same as bus parent drop-off. So I'd have to look back at the thing, but I believe that was 7:55, right, Mrs. Surratt? Maybe she's gone.
Yes, 7:55.
Okay, so walkers do the same thing as 7:55. How do we opt out of hand sanitizer? One of my kids. Okay, so Mrs. Loftus, about students that have something, an adverse situation where the sanitizer is not good for them. What is our protocols?
Please call me.
Okay, please call Mrs. Loftus directly.
And I will make sure the teacher knows they need to use soap and water instead of hand sanitizer.
So, and Mrs. Jones, the mass breaks are not a set time. The only thing that is guaranteed is that they will happen, and they will happen often. But the teachers, as professionals, will manage when they have, just like recess, when they have the mass breaks. I hope that clarifies your question. Any others? I know that there's probably a lot that we missed. I'm sure there's a lot we missed, but what I'll do is I'll send out this PowerPoint presentation to everybody that I sent the Zoom call to. And also, if you will have it posted just like the high school, and we'll make sure that everything is all set. And if you have any questions, obviously you can ask one-on-one. I feel like we've been answering a lot of individual questions, and that's been great, because then we, if you need further clarification, we can answer your exact question. Let me just see.
Mr. Cutler, can I just cut in one more time? Sorry.
Yep.
I am seeing a lot of questions on if a child is homesick, can they log into the remote class? Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely would love to see them. So they're not falling behind on work. I mean, this year is already stressful enough with all the changes that have to be made. I mean, we'd love to see, them on, remote, participating in remote learning. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure I could speak for Mr. Keller and myself.
Also,
Teachers.
I'd like to add one thing to that. This topic came up at the high school information night as well. So I think the question is, if an in-person student is sick and staying home and they log in to the remote environment, will it still count as a school day? And so that we're going to need to get clarification and check the guidance with DESE, because we do have to log students as in-person or remote. So there are different categories through which we have to mark attendance. So that's something that, let's look at that at the district level and provide some guidance out to all of the schools so that we're consistent across the district on that one.
Thank you. One of the questions, Mrs. Ward, I know that you and I have spoken about this, and there's actually quite a few people that are asking the same question. This craziness aside, we understand that your students and us are not in the spot that we would have been but for COVID. Okay, so where we would have been at this level or this reading level or that math level, this is taking a toll globally. So the teachers are prepared and ready and very willing and able to make sure that they're assessing all students to get them where they need to be. And nobody's going to be left behind or let go or held back or anything like that. This is a united front and a big issue. And with that said, if your individual students need additional support, please reach out. We have an amazing group, and we're happy to help, and we will figure it out, and we will get the specific testing. What I can promise you is, no, we're not going to be throwing all sorts of assessments at students, because we don't want to cause anxious people to have full-blown anxiety attacks. But if you feel like something's amiss or you really need some extra support on something, just reach out and we'll take it case by case. I don't care if it's 700 cases. You have my word that we will deal with each and every single one of them. It may not be right away, and we may have to find the answers, but we'll figure it out and we'll get through it together. And what I think that everybody needs to remember, and I feel like 99% of people do, is that this is just crazy. like we don't have there's no book on this yet. And I remember people saying, oh, well, this, the blizzard of 78, and I know everybody's seen that, but this is our blizzard of 78. We don't know what to do because we've never quite seen the snow this high. So we'll figure it out together. And there's going to be times that we zigged when we should have zagged, and there's going to be times where we zagged and we should have zigged, and we'll figure it out together. But as long as we're all on the same page and we all know that we're working towards the right goal, then it'll all work out. So if you have individual questions, please, anybody, reach out. We have an amazing group, and most of them are smarter than me, so they can answer your specific question. I see Kristen has her hand raised, which I didn't even know you could do. So if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question. Hold on, let me unmute you. Oh, hold on a second. All right. Can you hear me? Okay. I can't hear you though, unfortunately. Do you want to write your question in the chat? While I don't know what's up with the phone. Let's see. Oh, you're very welcome. And, and the other thing is too, guys, while we try to figure out the phone issue, like all of you also have your own lives, and not that you don't care about your children, but your own lives and your own careers that you're also managing, and your whole household. So we understand that, and we're going to do everything we can to work with you. And, a lot of people have called today and said, well, I'm very upset because I still have a household to run. Totally understand. And whatever we can do to help, we're going to. And just realize when we can't make an accommodation, it's not because we didn't want to. It's just because we tried everything and we really couldn't. So, let's see. Kristen, I'm sorry. I don't know why we couldn't hear you, but if you want, I can I can call you tomorrow. If you just leave your info in the chat, and I can call you tomorrow, and you can ask as many questions to me directly as you'd like. Anybody else have any questions? The specials are going to work. Okay, specials. Specials are going to work that they are 4 weeks every day, and then the next group will come in. So the students will have Mrs. Oriani for 4 weeks every single day, and then she'll see the next group of students. And that's for 2 specials, right, Mrs. McKim and Mrs. Weslowski?
Yeah, that'll be for all grades across the board. Everyone will have a special for 4 weeks and then rotate to the next one.
And this year we have foreign language. I saw a wonderful parent / new educator on here. So, one of the things that we're trying to really do is, even with COVID, not slow the process of making BMS the best school around. So foreign language was a need, and definitely something that the people said they wanted. So Mr. Cowell, I don't know if you're still on, but I saw you on, and we're very happy to have you. And he'll be teaching both French and Spanish this year to our students. So that's a huge upgrade, even in the times of COVID. So thank you. Thank you, Kristen. I got your info, and I'll save it so I can give you a call tomorrow. Let's see. Yes. So anybody else? I know that we didn't answer all your questions. I know this is stressful. Grades 6 and 7 this year will have Spanish and French in some variation. And then as Mr. Cowell does his magic, he will determine how we expand the program in the future. But right now, we're going to, foreign language is going to be for grade 6 and 7. Let's see. Cohort he's in. I just wanted to make sure I was reading it right. It says that he's in cohort A, but last name starts with an L. Okay. The person that has asked a question about cohort L, if you could just work with Mrs. Surratt, we'll make sure that you're in the right spot. I feel like we sent so many messages out to you guys today, and I apologize. You're going to hear me say this all year. That I think we shot down the server of Blackboard Connect, and they either billed Mrs. Rafferty extra money or they've kicked us off. But either way, you guys got more emails from us than it was ridiculous. Is Spanish an elective for everyone? Yes. Spanish and French for 6th and 7th grade, everyone. It is a special. Not an elective. I'm sorry. It's a special. Did I miss somebody? Does anybody else? You are more than welcome. I appreciate all of you guys, and you've been very helpful. We're trying to make it happen. And I think our theme of the year is going to be the Grateful Dead, Touch of Gray. So we're going to change BMS's song to that, and we're going to go from there, right? Rich, how many times did I play that today?
It's still playing in my head.
It was better than the Baby Shark you were playing, so be quiet. Let's see. Anybody else have anything?
I do want to just say I appreciate all the kind words aside from a lot of the parents saying thank you, and I think we want to thank you too for your patience and understanding through this. This is honestly a crazy time, and this is the first time I've done this, and obviously, and we appreciate you being patient and just being able to work with us through this time, and as long as we're unified, I think we can definitely overcome this.
Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Surratt, for answering the ABCD cryptic Da Vinci Code of the specials. The answer to your question about 4 weeks of Spanish and French, yes, we're not going to do like a crazy Navy SEAL team immersion of your language. What Mr. Cowell is doing, and I don't even want to speak about it too in depth because he's the man and he's got it all worked out, or he will have it all worked out, is that there will be 4 weeks of one and then 4 weeks of the other at the end. So the students will get to really pick. So by the time we get your kiddos off to high school, they can really identify which one that they would like to take. Let's see. Do we need a donation of PPE? Mrs. Loftus?
I don't think so. I think Mr. Roach, who is on tonight, if he wants to chime in, feel free. Mike has done a bang-up job supplying us with everything that we need. He has just been on this since March, and thank goodness we are looking good as far as PPE goes.
We all look like we're surgeons.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mrs. Loftus. This is Mr. Roach. For the person that reached out about the donations, if it's something that you do want to donate, we'll certainly accept it. It'll go to good use, but we are in a good place. So certainly don't feel like you have to, but if you do want to donate that, please reach out to me directly and I'll coordinate with you.
Other than a collective sigh and yoga pose and some things that I'm not going to mention on live Zoom, is there anything else that we can do for everybody right now to kind of ease the stress other than get rid of COVID? Because if we can figure that out, right, Maureen?
Absolutely. I would just ask that if anybody has any concerns, they pick up the phone. Please don't fret, don't worry. Just pick up the phone.
Yeah, there's really no you can ask Mr. Morano about the questions I ask him. There's really no such thing as a stupid question. And I definitely tax that and challenge that every day. So this is stressful, and we got to laugh and we got to have some fun. And even if that means Mr. Nurbon with his baby shark all day long, then we got to have fun, right, Richie? All right. So with that being said, I've taken up an hour and 12 minutes of your lives. And if you need anything, please call, please reach out. We really do. And speaking for everybody at BMS, like, you guys are the best. And we're very fortunate to have you guys as our teammates. And I don't want to even think about what this would be like if you weren't as awesome as you are. So, your questions will not go unanswered. And sometimes if you know me and, Erin knows me really well, so she'll probably have to remind me of her question about 15 times, and I'll still love her. So, Erin and Joe, reach out. If anybody else has anything, please let us know. And if you think of something after the fact, please let us know. And that's it. So with that being said, I hope everybody has a great night. Please stay healthy. And we will see you shortly. If anybody wants a tour, please let us know. And Mrs. Loftus, you have anything final?
Nope. Again, please don't be fretting over things that we may or may not be able to answer. Just call me. I'm there. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. If I don't know the answer, I will certainly find out. We've got this. We had kids back in school over the summer, and they did awesome.
Yeah, they did. And the only thing I do want to ask is a huge favor. Please, 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 just, if you can, find a spot in the house or spots so your kids know that we all are on the same page and we mean business. It's going to be so important for them to start taking this seriously, just as they would when they were in the building, because the grades are going to count and these grades are going to reflect. And I want to make sure that we're doing what's right and we're all being respectful, responsible, and safe to one another. So please, use my name in vain. That Cutler said that you're going to get in trouble if you don't do A, B, and C. Story of my life. So I missed the PA system, so I'll just call your houses. So that's about it. So I hope you guys have a great evening. And if you need anything, let us know. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night, and thank you, everybody.
Good night.